Welcome to this comprehensive explainer. Today, we're diving into a vehicle that's literally trying to redefine the heavyweight luxury segment. I'm talking about the highly anticipated all-electric Cadillac Escalade Q, and its even bigger sibling, the IQL. We're going to break down the whole shebang, the crazy specs, the luxury features, real-world driving reviews, and what tweaks to expect for 2026 and 2027. We really want to see if this electric giant actually lives up to the massive hype. But right out of the gate, we gotta talk about the price tag on this thing. $132,695. Yep, that is the staggering starting price for the extended Escalade IQL. It completely sets up our central question for this explainer. Does dropping this kind of cash actually match reality when the rubber finally meets the road? Let's find out. Section 1. The electric icon arrives. Okay, let's look at the sheer physical presence of this thing. Stretching nearly 5.7 meters long, Cadillac definitely made sure their new EV didn't lose an ounce of that commanding, boss-level street presence. To give it this futuristic, cinematic vibe, they packed the exterior with some absolute show-stopping tech. For instance, the doors, fully automatic. You just touch them to open, and get this. Once you sit down and press the brake pedal, the door literally closes itself. Up front, the traditional grille is gone, replaced by this bold, illuminated Cadillac shield and a sweeping LED light bar. It's sitting on massive 24-inch wheels wrapped in 35-inch tires, which actually perfectly balances out that huge 5.7-meter frame. Oh, and since there's no gas engine up front, you get a highly secure e-trunk with 12.2 cubic feet of cargo space right under the hood. Section 2. Staggering power and range. Underneath that bold exterior is an absolute technological powerhouse. Seriously, prepare yourself for these jaw-dropping specs. When you engage Velocity Max mode, this behemoth pushes out a Cadillac estimated 750 horsepower and 785 pound-feet of torque. And all that energy, it comes from a gigantic 24-module, 205 kilowatt-hour GM battery. To put that into perspective, that battery is roughly 2 to 3 times the size of what you'd find in a standard electric sedan. It's massive. This setup lets the Escalade IQ hit 60 miles per hour in just 4.7 seconds, tow up to 7,500 pounds, and travel an estimated 460 miles on a single charge. Need to top up? A 10-minute session at a DC fast charger is going to grab you about 116 miles of range. Pretty wild, right? But what does all this power actually feel like on the road? I mean, on paper, those numbers are nothing short of incredible. But we really have to ask how this translates to everyday driving. Because as we all know, raw numbers on a spec sheet don't always mean a perfect driving experience. Section 3. Inside the Digital Palace. Before we get to that driving experience reality check, step inside the cabin with me. Stepping into the Escalade IQ is basically like walking into a highly digitized, ultra-luxurious palace. It brilliantly shows off this massive shift in modern automotive design, where the screen has completely taken over as the command center. You're greeted by a sweeping, curved, pillar-to-pillar 55-inch display that spans the entire width of the dashboard. It totally changes how the driver and front passenger interact with the vehicle. And the amenities here are firmly in the first-class category. Picture this. You're sitting in the executive second row. You've got fold-away tray tables, your own personal 12.6-inch screens, and a jaw-dropping 42-speaker AKG studio audio system tuned with Dolby Atmos. The seats, well, they don't just heat and ventilate, they offer 14-way power adjustments and deep massage functions. Plus, it comes standard with Super Cruise for hands-free driving, and even features bidirectional charging, meaning this giant battery can actually send power back to your house during an outage. And if you opt for the IQL version, that longer silhouette translates to over 4 extra inches of legroom and an extra inch of headroom in the third row. Section 4. The weight of luxury. But here is where we need to shift gears and look at a more grounded, objective critique. When international reviewers got their hands on this for real-world testing, they noticed a very literal cost to all this luxury: sheer physics. Yeah, you've got 750 horsepower on tap. But you are also hauling around 9,000 pounds. That is over 4,000 kilograms of weight. Reviewers noted that this immense mass basically swallows the power. Sure, a 0 to 60 time under 5 seconds is great for a vehicle this size, but it just doesn't give you that aggressive, punchy feel you'd expect from 750 horsepower. Plus, you feel every single bit of that 9,000 pounds in the corners. The mass transfer is super noticeable, making dynamic driving feel, well, kinda cumbersome. And those critiques didn't stop at the driving dynamics. Inside that beautiful digital palace, the complete lack of physical mechanical buttons has proven pretty frustrating. You literally have to use the screen to adjust the air conditioning, or even just to open the glove box, which can be incredibly distracting while you're driving. Also, the heavy use of glossy black surfaces, that quickly turns the interior into a major dust and fingerprint magnet. Reviewers also pointed out some surprisingly cheap-feeling faux wood plastics on frequent touchpoints, and rotary knobs in the center console that feel somewhat flimsy and toy-like for a vehicle at this price point. Plus, despite the extra space in the IQL, the third row actually lacks independent AC controls, and folding the seats requires you to continuously hold down a button rather than a simple one-touch operation. Section 5. Escalade versus the competition. Let's zoom out a bit and see how this builds context by placing the Escalade IQ against a notable electric rival, the upcoming 2027 Lucid Gravity. When we compare the baseline specs, things get very interesting. The standard Escalade IQ offers a very robust 680 horsepower without velocity mode engaged, a cavernous 119 cubic feet of max cargo volume, and it comfortably seats 7. The Lucid Gravity, on the other hand, gives you a respectable 560 standard horsepower and flexible seating for 5 to 7. But take a look at that starting price. So the crucial point here is that staggering price difference. You are paying a massive, nearly $50,000 premium for the Cadillac. Now, for sure, the Escalade badge carries immense prestige, and you're getting a physically larger vehicle with incredibly opulent standard features, like that 55-inch screen and standard Super Cruise. But in a rapidly expanding EV market, that is a hefty premium buyers will have to carefully weigh.
Section 6. The verdict on 2027.
Cadillac, of course, isn't resting on its laurels here. Looking ahead to the 2027 model year updates, reports indicate they'll be focusing heavily on software updates to optimize that massive digital interface, making it smoother and a lot more intuitive. We're also expecting enhanced battery management systems to squeeze even more efficiency out of that platform. And, crucially, the inclusion of rear-wheel steering is highly anticipated. Allowing the rear wheels to turn slightly will drastically reduce the turning radius, making this 5.7-meter, 9,000-pound giant much easier to maneuver in tight city spaces and parking lots. Ultimately, the Escalade IQ and IQL are engineering marvels that push the absolute limits of battery tech, digital integration, and sheer size. But they also force us to ask a bigger question about the future of automotive design. As we transition to electricity, is the future of luxury just going to be heavier vehicles packed with more screens, or will we see a true driving revolution where efficiency, tactile quality, and driving dynamics actually catch up to the digital hype? It's a fascinating question and one you'll have to answer for yourself if you're looking to drop over $130,000 on Cadillac's newest electric icon. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.